Our next speaker will be Art. He is on Presentation Mastery Level 5, prepared to speak professionally. It will last 18 to 22 minutes. His speech title is, Which Way Should I Go? Nobody goes through life without having to deal with challenges. In other words, life as a cakewalk is, in reality, for most, a pipe dream. Speaker Art Farnsworth has faced a few notable obstacles in his life, both without and within Toastmasters. He has no degrees or experience in psycho this or psycho that. He is an engineer, and thus the case studies to be presented are examined in a practical sense. Evaluating Art's speech tonight is David Easley. David, will you please share the purpose of Art's speech?
The purpose of this project is for the member to practice developing and presenting a longer speech. And I should note that the member will deliver an engaging keynote-style speech, and the speech may be humorous, informational, or any style the member chooses.
Thank you. I'll now provide the project introduction. So tonight we will be presented with a number of obstacle case studies, and for each, we will discuss 3 approach options, along with the related option considerations. The goal? Better arming you to deal with the hurdles in your life. Guaranteed success in each instance? Nah. But hopefully, when you face future obstacles, you'll take some time to ask an important question before deciding on a plan of attack. That question? Why, it just happens to be the title of the speech. With Which Way Should I Go? Please welcome prepared speaker, Art Farnsworth.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. In the mid-1980s, philosopher Mick Jones penned these poignant words. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again. Can't stop now, I've traveled so far to change this lonely life. Now, if you're a fan of Foreigner, as I am, and you may remember those words were from the hit single, I Want to Know What Love Is. Since they're loosely related to the hurdle theme of tonight's speech, I decided to go ahead and grab them as an interesting introduction. But before we continue, since I am an engineer, let's define some terms. Let's find out exactly what a hurdle is. In short, a hurdle is a difficult problem. It's an obstacle. And Webster's defines an obstacle as, quote, anything that stands in the way and hinders progress. Some of the hurdles that we face in life seem, at least at first blush, to be insurmountable. Would you not agree? But is that really the case? As you will see, there are options that can be considered when approaching a hurdle, and then which option is chosen will allow you to determine the outcome. I'm going to walk us through, as Christine indicated, a handful of case studies. And for each of those, we're going to look at the options, and then for each option, consider 3 different things. 1, the effort required. 2, who is involved. And 3, the benefit of the result. Ready to go? Let's do it. Growing up, you probably encountered an obstacle course or 2. I suppose you folks remember from there, or even the school playground, the monkey bars. Or how about this one? Ah, yes, the tire race. What fun. Now, these 2 that we've just looked at briefly are, as you might have noted, solo efforts. Your success or failure is going to be determined by you and you alone. There's no team involved. But let's dive deeper and use this tire run as our first case study. All of these case studies are going to follow a template of sorts, where we consider the obstacle approach options and then the obstacle option considerations. First, option for here for approach is to go through. Now, I suppose it's rather tough to go through a bunch of tires on the ground. I'd have to get myself all dirtied up, get down on my hands and knees or on my belly, and push the tires out of the way. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Who's involved? Just me, because nobody else is going to help me ruin their event. Benefit of the result? I can't think of any. Can you? Let's look at number 2, go around. You can see clearly there's enough grassy space that people can go around the tires on the ground. But, effort required? None. In fact, if you'll pardon the bit of slight humor here, it would be a walk in the park. I didn't even hear a half a guffaw on that one. Oh, already that I took a lot of time to come up with that one too. Who is involved? It's just me, the person who's ruining the event. Benefit of the result for me? Going around? None. I didn't learn anything. I didn't get to test out my tire leg pacing skills. And I'm not bringing home the coveted tire run trophy. I gained nothing. So let's look at number 3, go over. The effort required there is getting my legs and feet to properly place within the tires, hopefully without falling on my face. Who is involved? Again, it's just me. This is a solo effort, and hopefully I'm not making a fool of myself. The benefit of the result here, I get some exercise, some healthy competition, and maybe, as I said, that coveted tire run trophy. You never know. Let's turn to the wide, wide world of sports for our next case study. Those of you who are fans of the Olympics recognize this, the track and field event referred to as hurdling. I did a little research about hurdling. I found out that there are multiple hurdles spaced at certain distances apart and that they vary in height. I also learned that there are specific step patterns that one needs to take in order to clear the low, high, and intermediate height hurdles. What does that mean? That means that one's approach to clearing a hurdle is going to be based on its characteristic or its nature. Back to the temple we go. Go through. I don't imagine slamming into hurdle after hurdle after hurdle is going to be a good idea. Actually, I think I'd probably trip over the hurdles before I did anything else. Who's involved? Just me, the crazy fellow. And then benefit of the result? Now, bam, 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 bam. I might harden my chest muscles, which would be a good thing, but I don't think that's a viable option. So let's consider go around. Again, back to the photo here, you can see that if she wanted to, she could just walk around the hurdles and go back to the other side. But just like in the tire run, what does that gain her? Nothing, no efforts required. She's the crazy cheater. And the benefit of the result? Nothing. She failed to demonstrate that she actually knew what she was doing. She knew how to compete in the event. And if she's in an event like this where there are people in the audience, in the stadium, then she might actually have some overly ripe produce lobbed at her. I thought that was a good one too. Oh well. Anyway, let's look at the successful case here. Go over. The effort required here is going to be physical conditioning, lots of training, I would suspect, and as Elliot would be rapt to say, practice, practice, practice. Who's involved? Just me again, the runner, the hurdler, showing my trainer that I paid attention to what he was saying. And what's the benefit here? For me, the benefit of the result, like in the tire race, would be healthy exercise, some competition, and testing my agility, and perhaps there's a prize for that as well. That's case study number 2. But now for the next one, let's bring it all closer, shall we, to Toastmasters. In fact, let's bring it closer to this club. 2 months before I became the club president in July 2016, I introduced to the club the free Toast Host club management system. My review notes included the following. Awesome. I can't think of a reason italics not to use this. However, some members were not as avid fans as I was about this. They preferred to do things the old-fashioned way. What was the old-fashioned way? You all have a spiffy free Toast Host generated agenda in front of you, but back in the day, when someone wanted to be added to the agenda or taken off the agenda or things changed on the agenda, David, the then secretary, had to fire up his Smith Corona electric typewriter and make the necessary changes. An important distinction here is that my opposition in this instance was not a physical hurdle, but it was an opposition to an idea. Back to the template. What were my options? Go through. Now, again, we're not talking physical here, we're talking mental. And thus, I don't think this is an option at all, because what it would have meant I had to do was bludgeon the club members to get them to agree to my proposal. That wasn't going to happen. In addition, I didn't have the authority to do this on my own. This would have affected this club management system, the entire club, and thus all members were entitled to a vote about it. Go around, again, not an option as I see it. What would that have meant? Poor David stuck on that typewriter, slaving away. I give up on my idea. Free Toast Toast, free toast smoked. It's out. Option 3, go over the success case here. Even though it was presented after we had approved free Toast Toast, I gave a speech from the Technical Presentations Advanced Manual. The project was the proposal, and in it, I presented a slideshow which proposed to the members, or shared with the members, I should say, the benefits of implementing and using our new club management system. And you may know more recently that along those same lines, I put together a member guide and an officer guide, which share with members how to do what they need to do as a member and an officer with specific reference to free Toast Host. That's a lot of work, but I was just a member on a mission to address point B here, who wanted to take the club into the future. The benefit of the result, we got it done. We overcame the hurdle. We've been using free Toast Host now for more than a decade. I need to add here that we had a concurrent heated thing going on. We were trying to define exactly who is an active member, so that when it came to an issue where the membership needed to vote on something that came from the club executive committee, we knew who properly constituted a quorum. This ended up, after the debate back and forth, with a few members actually leaving the club. And here I had come to this club, well, come to get into the officer positions, wanting to be the club secretary. But as you know, when they have the elections, they don't start at the bottom, sergeant at arms, and go up. They start at the top, club president, and go down. And I'm sitting there next to Faz Mahmood at the Inquiry building, and after a few people declined the nomination, Faz says, I nominate Art Farnsworth to be club president. No, I want to be the secretary. No, I nominate Art Farnsworth. Wow. So now I'm the new club president with this heated debate going on. So what was I going to do, stuck in this uncomfortable milieu? I stuck to my guns. I got over the hurdle. The active member issue ended up being diffused with the name on paper only members going away. They were there to pad out the roles so that we could achieve distinguished club status. Frown. We weren't distinguished that year. Okay. As R.G. Bunker would say, key, saru, saru. The free Toast Host action here was based upon my personal conviction. But the other two issues were based on personal ethics. Personal conviction, personal ethics. And I put it to you that these are two things which can help you overcome the obstacles in your life. Nota bene. These club-related efforts started out as me, me, me. I did the research, I made the proposals. But they ended up being we. Why? Because we implemented Free Toast Toast. We settled the whole member issue, and we cleaned up our membership roster. It was, I guess you could say, sort of a team effort that led to overcoming this particular hurdle, or these hurdles. And that's a good segue to the fourth and final case study here. One more example of success being achieved by the efforts of more than one person. Okay, Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, remember that movie? You remember the obstacle course? Yeah, well, each trainee, I think that's the term, faced the course alone, as you can see here, including the climbing wall. Back to the template. Go through. I'm going to let you answer this one. Is going through the climbing wall an option?
No.
Why or why not?
If you're a juggernaut, it would be easy.
Okay, I was thinking Hulk Hogan, rest in peace, but okay. No, you're not going through. It's a solid wall. No way. Let's consider option number 2, go around.
No.
Who was involved? The trainee who's willing to be embarrassed. Now, if you remember the movie, Seeger, the female on the left there, she's trying to get up. She can't get up, so she falls back down. And then Lou Gossett Jr., the drill sergeant, says, after he made a disparaging remark, go around. So she went around. But what did she get out of that? Any benefit to Seeger for going around? No, not really. Option 3, go over. The effort required here would be what? Obviously, physical strength. There's a specific technique to climb up the rope, step up the wall. Solo effort again, though. Who's involved here? Just the trainee. Those climbing over the wall were engaged in a solo effort. Not for long. The benefit of the result? I would assume there'd be a sense of accomplishment. And if I recall correctly from the movie, there were other trainees in the background of the scene, and they were cheering them on. So there was some accolade involved as well. All right, now we get to the point here that sometimes a solo effort isn't enough. Sometimes overcoming a hurdle is a team effort. I'll say it again. Sometimes overcoming a hurdle is a team effort. Same movie, a little later on in the film. Zach Mayo, the Richard Gere character, in a later scene, has the obstacle course time record locked up. He's running along, goes over the wall, running along. And then, even though the fellows were cheering him on, he looked back and realized Seeger was still stuck on the first side of the wall. He jeopardized, he forfeited his time record to go back and help someone else. Yes, from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, obviously the best Star Trek film, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. We've already addressed the go around and go through options here, so we shan't repeat them. But let's figure out what effort Seeger needed in this instance. Okay, she still needed physical strength, but also she needed a willingness to be led and coached or assisted. Mayo had already proven his physical ability. He could get over that wall with no problem. But now he had to turn his efforts to assisting someone else. Who was involved? Up until now, it's been me, the person, the runner, the whomever. Now it's both of them. The benefit of the result is that the one needing assistance from others, Seeger, was able to surmount her obstacle. Does this person willing to help a person needing help couplet remind you of anything within Toastmasters, a relationship within Toastmasters? Anybody? Right, the mentor-protege relationship. Going to hit on this quickly. Let's consider Zach Mayo to be the mentor here. And which of these points might apply to him? All right, he was available, obviously. He was on the same course. I don't know if I would ascribe patience to him. He was really supportive, knowledgeable. He knew how to get over that wall. And he was just giving her all kinds of confidence boosting so that she could climb that wall with him. Come on, Sigurd, walk that wall. And she did so. But what sort of attributes or characteristics did she need to possess? She needed to be eager to learn. She followed Zach Mayo's instructions. She grabbed the rope, she walked the wall, she fell back down, she did it again. She was receptive to what he had to share with her, open to new eyes, and I think there was a big hug at the end of that whole thing, so we'll go with the grateful being a truism. I'm going to leave you, as I wrap up here, with a real life struggle which you folks might face on the way home tonight. The dreaded detour ahead sign. How will you approach it? I'm glad you asked. Back to the template. Oh, let me call up the template. Go through the sign. What happens if you go through the sign? Damage your car? Well, no, that's the next one, Daryl. You'll damage your car. What happens if you go around the sign? All right, you get around the sign, you might make it another half a mile down the road, and then, as Daryl was suggesting, you might end up in a ditch, right? So those two don't sound like they're very wise options here. So how do we, figuratively at least, go over, not the sign, but this particular hurdle? The effort required is what? I have to pull out a map, maybe reprogram my GPS, or I can follow, or faithfully follow, all those little arrow signs that say, detour, go this way, whatever. Who is involved? I would suggest that it's probably you, but who knows? On your way home tonight, you might have a helpful backseat driver providing sage advice. But the benefit of the result is what, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to make it home safely. Maybe a bit late, but you're going to get home. And thus, as you face life's hurdles, recall the counsel of Mick Jones. Can't stop now. I've traveled so far. I put it to you, don't stop now. I want you to change your obstacle outlook from out of luck to overcomer. How? Before taking action when approaching the many, many hurdles which await you in the remainder of your life, I'm going to suggest that you consider the approach options and considerations we've discussed. And ask yourself the following question. Which way should I go? Which way should I go? Madam Toastmaster.